Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Your Favorite Black Lobbyist podcast. I'm Alexis. Today, I have a special guest with me, a dear friend of mine, Chris Bruce. He is the Policy Advocacy Director of the ACLU of Georgia. I'm super excited and thankful for him to be on the podcast, and I'm also super excited for the conversation we're going to have today. Y'all, we're going to get into it, okay? And the amazing thing about Chris is that he is a man who not only just knows his stuff, and he is what he considers himself the local black man. And he is that, right? He's the epitome of that, the epitome of Atlanta, Georgia, and also the epitome of just what a black man looks like in policy, right? And so how he shows up, how he advocates, and I'm just super thankful for him to be in the space that we're in, because we need more people like him. So clap it up for my dear friend Chris Bruce.
Oh, I love the claps.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. I'm so excited about this conversation.
This
is going to be pretty great.
No, it's going to be dope.
It is.
I'm excited.
Definitely.
No, but thank you so much for coming on. I'm super excited. And I always started off with, who is Chris Bruce, right? Tell the people who you are. How do we get here? How do we get to the local black man, right? Mm-hmm. That is now the Policy Advocacy Director of the ACLU of Georgia.
Well, there you go. So I normally try to break myself up into 3 L's. Mm-hmm. So I'm a lawyer. So I'm a graduate of UGA Law School. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
You know what I'm saying? Go Dogs. Let's go. And I own my own law firm, the Bruce Firm LLC. And it's a law firm specifically set up to help out minorities make sure their first run-in with the law is their last run-in. So I try to represent people who either made a mistake or the police were ultra aggressive, something have happened. Mm-hmm. And say, look, I'm going to walk you through this process. So most people have never even dealt with it. So they want to find an attorney that listens to them and helps them through their issues. But again, I try to fight vigorously to make sure you do not have a criminal record. And if you need other help, you can do everything else. I'm also the president of the Gate City Bar Association.
Yes.
I know, one of the most professional career highlights that I've ever had. Yeah. So, but I'm rolling off of that. So that's 1 L, lawyer. The other one is lobbyist. And that's where I'm the Policy and Advocacy Director for the ACLU of Georgia. I love this job. Yeah. Fighting on behalf of people to make sure their civil rights and civil liberties are upheld. So I feel like all the issues that our ancestors dealt with, fought and died for, we have to continue on that fight. And I do that as the Policy Advocacy Director of the ACLU. And last but not least, I'm a local black man.
Yeah.
So local black man, like I love Atlanta sports. I wholeheartedly know, not believe, know that our Atlanta Falcons are going to win the Super Bowl. Look, it may not be this year, but it's going to happen. So it really comes from, I know you laughing, and it's cool, and it's love. Hey,
I was with y'all in the thick of it. I was with us when we were, and we were almost
there. We go, close, yeah.
So I'm glad that someone is as hopeful and passionate as you are.
Always.
For the Atlanta Falcons to not only just get to the Super Bowl, but to
win it. Yeah, you got to win it. And I always tell people, like, for the work that I do in social justice, fighting voter suppression, fighting for the rights of women, criminal legal reform, you have to have the faith of a Falcons fan, okay? Because, it's hard. It's hard. Yeah, and you're going to take some losses, but you got to keep fighting.
You got to keep fighting.
You got to keep fighting,
I definitely say we are, the Falcons fans are, if you find a Falcon, we're the most loyal people.
Oh, absolutely.
The most
absolutely.
Like, you can't down. Honestly, those are the attorneys in real life, because you can't argue them down. You can't tell them nothing.
That's my team.
Yeah, and they're gonna win the argument every single time. I've never seen someone go up against a Falcons fan in a debate and win.
We there.
Yeah,
we there.
So that's
we got to win something.
You know,
so we win a debate.
We're gonna win a debate.
We win a game.
Right. Nah, I really appreciate that. And like I said, I always learn so much about my friends, about my peers when they're on the podcast, because I think when we interact with each other, it's, it's always with one of those things, like one of the L's, right? And so I've interacted with you mostly as a lobbyist, and so and a local, the local
black man, always local black man.
But it's nice to know, like, you have your own law firm and you do things outside of, your day-to-day job and as a lobbyist and as a local Black man and showing up in the community, right? And so I love that you're still intertwining the different parts of you, but it's still all of you, and it still is, relevant and relatable. And I love that. That's really dope.
Yeah, and I love the way that you interact with people and brand yourself, because a lot of times people get branded mostly based off of their job. So I never said I just wanted to be the owner of a law firm or the policy and advocacy director of the ACLU. Like, what is Chris Bruce? Like, there's no one else who says they're a local Black man.
Right.
Because that's me.
Yeah.
So when people ask, who are you? Like, I'm me. We're not going to start off with my job. We're not going to start off with all those other things. Get to know me for who I am. And really, local Black man comes from people thinking that a Black male who graduated from law school, who has a relative area of success, can be arrogant, can be mean, can be in certain ways. And again, I am a confident person.
Yeah. Confidence doesn't always equate arrogance.
There we go.
Yeah.
But I always tell people, I was like, you see what I've accomplished, but it wasn't by myself.
Yeah, right.
And I say, there's so many other Black boys and Black men who can do the same thing if you give them investment and opportunity.
Right.
So in the Black community, especially Black men, we lack resources. People really don't think about us when it comes to education or mentorship.
Right.
So if you actually invest in more, then you'll have more local Black men. It's not a status of, I graduated from this or I accomplished this. It's more of the community invested in me, and now I can reinvest in the community. I
love that you said that, because that's my motto too. Like that's how I say I kind of live my life, and I tell people, like, I didn't get here by myself.
Right.
And I wish I could sit there and say, like, oh, I'm self-made. I wasn't. I had mentors. I had people who were able to lend a hand down. I had community leaders. I had people in my church. I had family, friends, discipleship, all of the things that is Alexis Boss, is Your Favorite Black Lobbyist. All of that was not just off of the strength of I graduated from University of Georgia. I worked at this company, that company, this place. It's a lot deeper and more than that. And even for me to get to where I'm at, and even for you to get to where you are, it was the giants and the people behind you that pushed you up there, that held you up and supported you and empowered you. And we need that for our youth. We need more Black and brown, boys and girls and young women and men to see us in these spaces.
Right.
And not just have to be in the political spaces, but as a local Black man, right? As a man who's in the community, at the Hawks games, at the Falcons games.
Always.
To be able to see that they can achieve this life. But the achievement doesn't always come from a certain status or a certain job. And so I really love that you said that, because I think that's what kind of gives us that allows us to be able to actually show people you can do what we do. It's not
right.
far-fetched. Like, if I can do it, I always say, I'm like, who am I? If I can get here, because I would have never, like, I'm living my wildest dream, and I know I have even more wilder dreams, right? So it's there's steps to it. So I always encourage the youth, like, do it. Like
just
Nike,
do it.
Just do
literally, just
Nike
do it.
With that,
I know, and still have. They haven't changed their motto.
Changed it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
No, that's great. I did want to get into the conversation. So we actually just came off of, as you're aware, an election, a local election that, of course, happened across many states, but especially important in Georgia. And so I wanted to kind of get your takeaway, the key takeaways from what were your thoughts and perspective of, the elections in Atlanta. And I would also kind of go a little deeper and say, what are your thoughts for moving forward? But maybe we can get into that later. But definitely, as of right now, key takeaways of like the local Atlanta election with the Georgia Public Service Commission Board, the mayoral, city council, and even APS school board races.
Yeah, and I mean, this is 2025, so it's considered an off-year election. There typically wasn't any federal elections that were happening.
Right.
So nationwide, you saw some phenomenal outputs from individuals. Like in New York, they have the youngest mayor of New York, the first Muslim mayor of New York City, like with an amazing amount of people in certain boroughs who came out and voted. Because now you're seeing, especially with Democrats, a very clear and simple message.
Yeah.
And people are concerned about affordability.
Right.
So this isn't something new, but this is really at the hearts and minds of people.
Mm-hmm.
So Mamdani was able to accomplish a phenomenal feat with his win in New York. Virginia also had wins for Democrats. So did New Jersey. In Georgia, you had the same thing.
Right.
We have not won really statewide elections since 2006 was the last time a Democrat was on the PSC.
Wow.
So now,
I didn't know
yes.
that. 2006.
Yeah.
That's
2006. It's 2025.
20, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you were talking about years
Yes.
of Democrats not even coming close to winning 2 in one election.
Yeah.
So that's something that really speaks towards, one, the way the electorate was. So you had major cities like you were talking about, like the city of Atlanta had an election, and that election actually boosted out turnout for the PSC, specifically for Democrats. I mean, we're still going through the numbers, but when it comes down to it, Democrats did a great job this election. And I think Republicans are on notice now saying this election meant something, but 2026 is going to be even bigger. So now you know that there is a possibility that Democrats could win another statewide seat like governor, attorney general. And again, you have a U.S. senator up for grabs like John Ossoff.
Right. No, so a lot of history's been made in the past, I would say, couple weeks. And so it's really good to get that perspective, especially with you being, you know, in the space. 'Cause I think people kind of think that as lobbyists, we're like always like in the campaign work, and like, and it's like, where some people are high level, and so some people are more in the weeds and the nitty gritty with the pack and stuff. So that's really good, you know, to get that perspective.
The reason why I enjoy elections, and look, I love being a lobbyist, but I've done campaign work. In fact, I was political director of Atlanta for Stacey Abrams in her last run. Stacey, phenomenal person.
Yeah.
Always look at the numbers, and you can go back to previous presidential elections. So I try to keep things local, but I also look at national. In 2020, Joe Biden got 81 million votes, and Donald Trump had 74 million. That is a 7 million gap between the two. No one said Biden had a mandate to rule or anything else. And I'm saying that because in 2024, Donald Trump gets, what did he get? He got 77 million votes. And Vice President Kamala Harris had 75 million. It's about a 2 million gap. President Trump said he has a mandate to rule, and he's been ruling like that.
Yes.
And we'll get into the no kings part later. But the reason why I'm pointing that out is not as much as the difference between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, the difference between Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. 81 million to 75 million. That is a 6 million gap of people who did not vote for you.
Yeah.
And Democrats really had to take a step back and realize, what is it going on the national level of saying what was happening in 2020 with 6 million more people voting for Joe Biden in 2024? Was it the candidate? Was it the messaging? Was it the environment? Was it the economy? Those are the type of things. But I'll say this. The biggest thing that I look at is the over 90 million people who could have voted but didn't. And that's what happened in the 2024 election. Over 90 million people could have voted in that election but chose not to. And the reason why that's a problem is because democracy only thrives on a practice of the willing.
Right.
Of people actually participating in government. So the less amount of a democracy you get, the more amount of a dictatorship that you get. And that's literally what a dictatorship is. It is the fewest amount of people making decisions of the masses instead of a democracy where it's the people who make the decisions for you. So we have to be very careful about this time in history where we're seeing more apathy in voting instead of seeing the invigorated participation of our constituents.
You know, I'm curious. So are you saying, and I'm not going to put words in your mouth.
Go ahead.
So so it sounds like from what you were saying, based on the numbers, is that we were already kind of trending here before President Trump got into office and started ruling, you know, mandating and, you know, leading the way that he is. So the numbers showed. Do you think that I'm in real time thought here? So I'm saying, do you think that people, this may be a stretch, but I'm going to go here.
Let's go. Let's say, hey, man, I know you're kind of teasing it. That's cool.
So I feel like it sounds like the people, because I know we are, and I'm not saying he doesn't have any part to play, but it sounds like the people, the democracy that we were in is what really has transitioned us into the dictatorship. And I mean that in the sense of like, it's how people, so when Biden was in office, you had, it wasn't as politically, it was getting there, but it wasn't as politically charged as it is now.
Right.
But once Trump said he was going to run again, do you think the people, whether it's his loyalists or supporters or whatever, do you think that's what charged the transition of the dictatorship? It was the people, right, that did the voting, because you're saying with the numbers that a certain amount of, like a large amount of people did not vote. And so that is showing that when you're getting to that scale, you're already transitioning to a dictatorship. So before he could even step foot in office, it was already trending that way. And granted, I will say, I'm pretty sure part of a large portion of that was probably from his, first presidency, right? And the rhetoric and how he led and, all of those things. And it kind of carried through. I think that sentiment carried through. Mm-hmm. But I was just thinking, like, as you were saying that, like, it just sounds like, I know we are like, oh, like, we're definitely no longer in the democracy. And I think I personally think, and a lot of people I think are getting hope off of this recent election, that we're trying to get there. Like, I feel like we're in this tug of war of like democracy, dictatorship, right? And it's like, who's going to win? And for a while, it was pulling this way to the dictatorship, right, portion. But now with this election, and I'm going to say the thing, and I want to get your thoughts.
Say the thing.
With Democrats really kind of putting their foot down.
Right.
Because, like, I'm going to hold you. I thought with the government shutdown, they were going to fold because of the empathy, the emotional point people can,
Right.
And I know that's typically a trait that is now on the progressive or Democratic Party. Mm-hmm. But two things can exist. It is like the government shutdown is impacting a lot of people.
Everyone.
It's impacting everyone, right? Yes. No matter your socioeconomic status, no matter whether you're black, white, whatever, right? No matter your religion, your political affiliation, it's impacting everybody. And it's terrible, right? This is the longest government shutdown we've been in I would say, history, right?
Well, since Trump's first government shutdown. So your president right now has the accolades of doing something that you normally don't hear. Mm-hmm. He has added more to the deficit than any other president before, except himself. Yeah. Because, again, in 2016, in his administration, he had a $3.6 trillion, and then this time he had it even more. Yeah. So he's breaking records. Yeah. They may not be the records that you like.
Yeah, right. But
adding the most to a deficit and also having a government shutdown the longest time. And what baffles me, this really does baffle me, with the big, beautiful bill that everyone talked about, he's actually decreased or slashed social services, but added on to the deficit, which makes no sense.
Yeah.
So you're telling me we have more debt, but less things to show for it.
Right.
How does that make sense?
Right.
It doesn't. So I don't know what people, and I think this is where you're getting from, the voter apathy that's happening, or the distaste of government. So there's very few people who are happy with how the government is operating right now.
Yes.
That's always been. People always have a distrust of the government. But this is at an all-time high. And if you look at other countries who are democracies, we rank very low when it comes to voter participation. That is a problem because we always hold ourselves as a beacon out for what democracy should look like. We have to figure out as people, especially black people, what is it going to take for our communities to get more involved? And that's just not voting. Right. Now that the vote's done, let's hold people accountable.
Absolutely.
You on this campaign trail said, let's do it at a local level. You're going to fix our streets, the infrastructure. Healthcare is going to be fixed. All these other problems with education that's happening. Don't just vote for people and then sit by for the next 4 years. Right. Vote for them, then hold them accountable. Say, This is what you said you were going to do. I will work with you to get it done, but you're in office to be a leader, to represent us. Now lead.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that, because I try to stress that to the audience and to people that voting is just the one part, like
it's the least that you can do. Literally.
Right. And so it's like, what else are you doing, and how do you show up as an advocate, right? And advocacy looks different for everybody. But that was the other thing I was going to say, is that two things can exist, is that it's terrible what's happening, but I'm glad that Democrats are finally putting their foot down.
Waking up, right?
Okay, I've been sitting on the thing. It sounds bad, right?
Just say it. No, it doesn't sound bad.
But honestly, I'm glad they're finally waking up and doing something. Like,
right.
This when I wanted to get into politics and policy related things, this is what I wanted to get into. Not necessarily all of this, but I wanted to get into this level of politics, right? We're getting stuff done, and we're going to do what we need to do to get it done, even if that means we're going to rough it. Because if we don't, we're going to be in a worse off time, or with the healthcare, it's going to be worse. So you might as well hold the flame to the Republican Party or the GOP and say, hey, we not budging either. So somebody gonna fold.
Somebody's gonna fold.
We just now we're still just sitting here waiting, like, who gonna do it? And now I'm like, who you got your money on?
who you betting on? I don't know. Who you betting on?
Right. I mean, but that's really been my sentiment of, like, it's terrible and it's impacting everybody. Like, we all feel it. We're all feeling it. But I'm glad they're not. I'm glad they're not budging.
Well, can I add something? Because this is, you don't hear it from everyone, but I truly do believe this. I would love for us to live in a country where we don't have to have a political affiliation, where you actually are listening to people for their thoughts, their ideas, and for their actions, their history of getting things done. I mean, can you imagine having people get up, tell them your plan, and then you vote on that?
Yeah.
Not because they're a Democrat or a Republican, but there's somebody who represents the community. So yeah, the philosophy, because what defines a Democrat? What defines a Republican? Compared to what defines, just like being a local black man, what defines you as far as what you're going to do to represent my community? Yeah. So yeah, I blame everybody for the shutdown.
Oh, absolutely.
And everybody needs to get together to make sure the shutdown's gone. I mean, people's health benefits, food benefits, everything. I travel. I spent 2 hours on the tarmac when I was flying back from New York. I'm not doing that every time. Y'all need to fix this.
I was about to say, like, you say you're going out of town this weekend.
Yeah, man, I'm trying to get out. I'm trying to get flued out. And I'm up here like.
Because they're doing
I'm leaving Friday. Yeah,
they're doing.
And they're doing the cut Friday.
Yeah. Like, they are going to be, 10% cut?
10%. Do you know how much? I mean, that is a ridiculous amount. I think there's I forgot how many thousands of flights that happen a day. Yeah. But they were talking about tens of thousands. So, 4,500 flights being canceled.
And it's the Thanksgiving holiday.
That's what I'm saying.
It's the holiday.
The busiest travel season's coming up.
Yeah.
And now y'all decide, so yeah, politicizing travel when people are trying to get to their family and their friends. And now you're bringing it in.
What are we talking about?
Wake up.
Yeah.
People. We actually have to do something about this.
Absolutely. I feel like I don't scream, but I be like, wake up, wake up. I know, I be like, I'm like, y'all are losing the plot. I'm like, I don't know if you heard me on rants. I be like, y'all are losing the plot. No, but seriously. Because I think, and you'll be called a socialist for those thoughts. So you can be careful. But honestly, I think, when we so focused on a Democrat and a Republican, and now when you say you're that, people put you in this box, and now they no longer listen to you. Now they're like, oh, well, you're not, you're this and you're that. And it's like, well, just because I vote this way doesn't necessarily mean that my thoughts are shaped a different way. Because I think a lot of times we make things black and white, and everything ain't black and white, especially things like this. A lot of things are very gray. And we're people who are complex with different backgrounds or some with shared experiences. So we all can't sit up here and say, just because we vote a certain way, that it's a blanket statement that we're going to, everything that comes with it, we agree. Right. And I think that's the weird part we're seeing in this MAGA Trump loyalist party type of thing. That's not all the Republican Party too. And also differentiating between the Republican Party and just the Loyalist Party, right, towards the president. Those are two separate ideologies, two separate affiliations, and they move different and they interact with people differently. And just, because I feel like a lot of Republicans be kind of shamed to say they
I've heard it. You've heard it.
Yeah.
You've heard it from Republicans saying, I didn't vote for Trump.
I didn't vote for Trump,
Yeah.
like, because I don't agree with any of that,
Exactly. So, yeah, there's in the policy proposals that go along with it.
Right.
So if I told you it would only cost $90 million to feed every child in school so they can have a breakfast and a lunch. So a lot of people say, well, that's socialism.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
First off, we have a $34 billion budget.
Right.
With a $16 billion surplus.
Right.
$90 million is a drop in the bucket.
Right.
Secondly, the amount of money that's going to these kids pays off because when kids are fed, disciplinary actions go down,
Yes.
grades go up, attendance goes up, right? So one of the biggest things that the police always talk about is kids that are creating crime, broken windows crime, small petty theft, assault, whatever.
Right.
Well, if kids had a place to go, if kids are fed, if these things are happening, then you can actually get to saving money on the back end of building new jails.
Right.
And actually putting kids through college who can actually invest in the community.
Right.
So it's not socialism, it's good policy.
Good policy.
If I can tell you, is the goal for us to treat cancer or is the goal to not get cancer in the first place? And that's my thing that deals with crime. Is the goal to fight crime or to eliminate crime altogether? And I can tell you, if you invest in children, well, crime's going to go down.
Yes.
Right? So instead of investing in more police officers, let's invest in more of our children. And I don't think that people really get that. So it's more taking a step back of saying, what is it that you really want, especially in a society? And I think both parties really need to take a look in the mirror and figure that out too.
Yes.
Because when you get to that point, then people will start voting for you. And we can make this more, again, into a democracy instead of a dictatorship.
No, I agree. I think that's great. And I went through college with literally that same exact statement that I think of it as a spider web of policy. Like the policy niches are a spider web. They're all interconnected. And I always said you have to start with the youth. I always said that. I literally wrote a whole analytical paper on it. Did a presentation.
You didn't share it? I want to see it.
I know. I think I shared it with you. But no. And I say once you start with the children, you will nip away at that spider web. And it's going to start to fall. So these things that is connected to food insecurity, the things that are going to connect it to crime, things that are connected to the mass incarceration issue, all of that, right, is really connected to if you invest in the youth, you literally will start to see how all of that over time is no longer going to be.
It'll pay off.
It's going to pay off.
Yeah.
And hopefully create a better society. We're really focusing more on the adults, which is cool, but we lose the youth, and that's where it's like we got to build that up. So I'm glad that you mentioned that.
We have the resources to invest in everyone.
Absolutely.
Right. The richest country in the world. Well, let's use those riches for people.
Chris, remember that is social. That you're a social. That
I don't know about that. I know that's socialist.
It's giving
giving people.
socialist.
And I'm just saying, hey,
You care about people. You
I know,
good
that's
policy,
crazy,
common
right?
sense policy.
Crazy.
Oh my God.
Oh no.
Ugh.
Giving people.
Ew. P.U.
If you actually get people homes, then guess what? They don't end up in hospitals. Because you're going to pay for it one way or another.
Right.
Those people who do not have insurance, they're not going to say, well, I'm just going to sit down and die.
Right.
They're going to go somewhere to get help.
Right.
Well, that bill comes to you as a taxpayer.
Right.
So make sure they don't get sick in the first place. Like,
Right.
it's just good policy.
Yeah. No, I agree. I want to transition because I know you mentioned, about the democracy and the dictatorship and that transition, the tug of war of that. And of course, we've seen also in the media, and also a lot of people, I'm pretty sure, have been on the streets with the No Kings protests all across the world, especially in Atlanta. What are your thoughts on that? What are from your perspective, right, as someone who is in the community, as someone that do advocate on behalf of people that are the same people that are protesting, this administration, your president.
Your president. Okay.
Well, what are your thoughts? I want to really get your thoughts and perspective on it.
The No Kings movement is something that history is going to look back on and say, wow, y'all mobilized over 7 million people, but what did you do with it? So I'm very excited to see how this is going to go and participating in it, because I was the MC for the No Kings March
Oh,
on October 18th.
yeah.
You didn't know that? See, I
No,
was talking
see,
about it.
I know.
Yeah, I know. So I did. Actually, this is the second time. So the June 14th one, I was the MC for it at Liberty Plaza. We had about 10 to 12,000 people. So that
wow.
was a great showing, right?
Yeah.
I love marches and rallies because it helps you educate people on the issues of the day. Not just educate them, you empower them
Yeah.
to know what to do next. So the No Kings March that happened on October 18th, I was the MC. We had Senator Warnock came out, did a
Okay.
phenomenal job. Senator Warnock, you did an amazing job. And also Stacey Abrams. Stacey Abrams, I've never seen people yell so loud for somebody.
Oh,
Oh, man.
yeah.
I
They
mean,
go crazy for her.
they went crazy.
They go crazy for her.
And deservedly so.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, Stacey is definitely a leader.
Absolutely.
And so many other phenomenal advocates that participated in No Kings March. But No Kings is really about that.
Yeah.
America came together and said no to the King of England. We're going to start our own government for the people, by the people.
Right.
We are trending away from that because of the person who's in the White House right now.
Right.
He's just issuing executive orders, ignoring judicial orders, and ignoring the Congress. We have a nice piece of paper called the Constitution.
Yes.
It works,
Yes.
but it only works if people respect it, and he doesn't.
Yeah.
So No Kings is about making sure that people understand that we live in a democracy, not a monarchy.
Yeah. I'm glad that you broke down what that is. Who organized it? I know, like, when it first came out, really this year, in response to the current administration, I know, like, very similar in 2020 with the Black Lives Matter movement, right, and protest, we kind of saw, like, who was behind it, the hashtags and all the language behind it. But who's behind, if you're familiar, behind the No Kings protest?
I'm a local black man.
So you
I
don't
really
know
don't know.
either.
So I know, I believe Indivisible, which is a group, and I think 5051 on a national level, they're the ones who are working together with other groups like the ACLU. That's how we got involved.
Got it.
I'm saying, let's go ahead, let's all join forces with our powers combined. You remember that Captain Planet phrase?
Yeah.
Are you old enough to know
First
Captain
off,
Planet?
I know
Alexis?
Captain
Okay.
Planet.
Okay.
I watch Captain Planet. Don't do that.
I was just making sure.
I don't do
I
that.
was just
I'm
making
on
sure.
the back end of a millennial. I know
Okay.
you a little bit older than me.
Oh man, I'm like the millennium.
Yeah, you at the top. You was
Yeah,
the
I'm
first,
there.
Yeah.
I'm one of the first millennials.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really, and I think that's what is important in our democracy. When you
Yeah.
come together and say we're going to come together and confront an issue, we can come up with solutions with it too. So I'm working right now to do some amazing things locally
Yeah.
with Indivisible. So it's not just marching.
Yeah.
We have to follow up with policy. And we're going to take this to the Capitol in this upcoming legislative session.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that you said that, because from your perspective, with working with the at the ACLU, I kind of want you, I'm glad that you mentioned the policy breakdown. I want you to kind of also kind of give us a breakdown of the civil liberties associated to this, right? So a lot of people, I think they get an idea of, okay, no kings. And some people didn't even know, like, no kings, why are they saying no kings, right? And it's always good to have a good history lesson. That's even why and how America was, came about, and why we have a constitution, and why
Right.
we, or some people celebrate, Independence Day. And so I really like for you to go through the civil liberty breakdowns of just kind of the protest, the No Kings protest, and also, like you said, the things that you're going to be doing in the upcoming legislative session in January 2026.
Yeah. I mean, we know there's been an anti-protesting regime that's happening to the point where he's claiming he has to activate the National Guard
Yes.
to quell protests. You literally have a First Amendment right, and it's called the First Amendment for a reason. It is the first right that you do have to say that you have free speech, and the government should never quell that. The government actually should be encouraging free speech, not trying to suppress it. So with him trying to send out troops, National Guard, whatever, he's trying to silence the voices of the people, which is another violation of that. So, and you see these laws popping up in states where They're trying to criminalize protesters. That happened during the Black Lives Matter movement.
I was there. You got by there quick.
Right.
When they came.
Yes.
They was tear gassing, and so.
They were.
Yeah.
That was 2020 by the CNN Center.
Yeah.
Everything else.
I was there.
I was out there too with a lot of brave legal observers.
Yeah.
So there are people who want to protest. There are people who want to protest against the protesters. And then I have a program called Legal Observers. And these are everyday citizens, some lawyers who go out in blue vests. It says Legal Observers, ACLU of Georgia. And they're there to make sure that you do not have any First Amendment violations. So the police should not be arresting you just randomly because you're protesting.
Yeah.
And if they do, well, we're going to videotape it and we're going to take it to court.
I love
to make sure that your rights are upheld. So, yeah. It was, remember, this was during COVID. This is during a time that people were scared of getting the disease, but people still wanted to show their frustrations after George Floyd. So, had hundreds of people out there. And then curfews would happen. They had armored vehicles
they did.
out there, which is very scary.
Yeah.
And, I mean, a lot of times, like, if you don't feel safe, go home. That's fine. And there was one night when I bucked the system. I was like, I don't care about the curfew.
Yeah.
I'm here. I have a First Amendment right to be here. What are you going to do? So even when they had the armored vehicles coming down, troops, armed weapons, what you going to do?
Right.
And the issue with that is I've always thought my career has been defined, unfortunately, by the spilling of black blood. Mm-hmm. So my first thing in my last internship was with the Department of Justice Community Relations Service. Mm-hmm. And this was when Trayvon Martin was murdered. I'm not going to say killed. He was murdered.
Absolutely.
Right. And we were deployed down to Florida, and I saw how they tried to heal the community afterwards. And I said, that's the type of work I want to do. Yeah. Trayvon Martin, Philando Castile. We saw what happened with Ahmaud Arbery being murdered. Yes. That still haunts me. Breonna Taylor being murdered as well. And we saw what happened with George Floyd. And we see the policies that happen afterwards. Mm-hmm. Last thing I want to ask is, we can make change without killing black people.
Absolutely.
We can make change without the spilling of black blood. So that goes through voting and holding people accountable. Right. So we need to get ahead of these issues instead of reacting to them.
Absolutely. I'm curious to get your perspective because I want to touch on one of these L's, right?
Okay.
Because, we talked to you as a lawyer, and of course, in conjunction of you being a local black man.
Yep.
But as a lobbyist, how do you engage with the grassroots community? And you kind of touched a little bit about that with your work with the ACLU, but do you feel like that has hindered you in any of those L's that you mentioned, or do you feel like that has labeled you to where you're not able to maybe work across the aisle? How do you feel like that has either helped or hindered you, or has it, with you kind of being connected with these grassroots movements?
This is, the ACLU fits my personality.
Yeah.
That's why I've been there for so long, because ACLU is definitely not perfect.
Yeah.
But it's also not the worst. It's the potential to be something greater. Mm-hmm. So there's some things that the ACLU's done that I agree with. There's some things that it's done that I don't agree with. What I like is having the resources to help people, help the voiceless actually have a voice. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, when it comes down to partisanship, people think the ACLU is the legal department for the Democrats, and that's not true. I mean, there have been plenty of cases where the ACLU has represented the KKK, Nazis, hate groups all the time on the basis of First Amendment rights.
Right.
Like they're saying, even if you are a hate group, you have a right to speak your mind.
That's the hot button topic.
As long as you're not hurting people.
Right.
So, yeah. So you should, and your government should not try to stop you from doing that.
Right.
And then there are other times when the ACLU has come in and said, look, you should everyone have the right to be themselves.
Right.
So the LGBTQ plus community, a lot of times they get attacked for whatever reason possible. Yeah. Well, as a black man, I know what it takes to get attacked.
Right.
Like, leave them alone. If you don't like them, that's fine. Then go your separate way.
Right.
That doesn't mean that you dictate who should be what at what time.
Right.
And I think we should all live up to that promise.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's nice that you may feel that way, but don't ever try to attack somebody else, because that stops them from becoming themselves. And if you truly believe in a higher power, our Lord and Savior, he always talks about You should be you.
Absolutely.
That's why he sent his son down here to die on a cross for us.
Amen.
Right. Amen.
Amen.
Up to Black Jesus. That's what I'm talking about.
I love that you said that, and also talked about how the ACLU is just a good fit for you because it fits your personality. And I always encourage people that are coming up into the workforce, if you're interning or even mentees, I always tell them, I said, tailor the job to you. Never tailor yourself to the job. And I think that's a great example of you tailoring, the job to you, or finding a job that fits within your personality, that you can feel like you can show up authentically in these spaces but still do the work. And that's great. I want to briefly kind of talk about or touch on, as we're both lobbyists, what does advocacy look like inside the system, or I would say with the policy and lobbying compared to outside? So the protest, the direct grassroots, the action, a brief just kind of comparison of what that looks like for those that may just be a little confused or may not fully understand the difference between the two. Because I always say, advocacy is different. It looks different for everybody, but it's still all advocacy work, right? So
it's a great question, and I'm glad that we're going to address this. I'm a history guy. I love history.
I love history too.
I'm
a nerd for it.
Right.
Go ahead.
So when we're looking at voting rights, when we're looking at the Civil Rights Act, that came from a upheaval of people marching and being in the streets demanding for rights. What people don't see is the lobbyists behind the scenes drafting the legislation. They're the ones who are working with lawmakers to get things passed. So a lot of things can happen on the streets. That's fine. That shows a will of the people for a certain type of policy change. But you also have to have people who are on the inside. You're not drafting policy at a march or a rally, right? You draft those in government buildings with elected officials whose job is to implement or pass these type of policies.
Right.
So that's how it's interconnected. But you have to educate the people to let them know. And the people have to educate their elected officials to let them know what they want. Right. When you combine those two, you have something beautiful. You have a democracy.
Yeah. No, I love how you explained that. You explained things so eloquently.
Local black man. It's cool. That's what all local black men do.
Right. That is true. Yeah. That is true. No, that's great. And I always try to, and it's in the colloquial way, spoon feed it to people so they can understand the difference in the work that we do and how it's still a form of, it's not nefarious. It's not insidious. It's just a lot of what we do is educating. A lot of what we do is informing not only the people that we're advocating on behalf of, but the people that we're going to make change with, right? Alongside with. So that's other lobbyists, that's other lawmakers. And also, we building relationships and making sure you have people that look like us, that's representing our community in those spaces. And I think in Georgia, we have a large amount of black lobbyists. Can't remember what the number is, but we have a pretty good, I would say, following or showing compared to over the years, right? It's grown. It's grown significantly.
Yes.
For black men and women, and so I'm really glad that we're in these spaces to kind of show people, not just physically what it looks like to be in these spaces and just show up in these spaces, but also how we actually move in these spaces and how we get things done and how we are actual change makers. I think it's really, the cameras and the lights it's
flat,
it's but it's trying to showcase actually people, we're in the thick of it, right? So us really you being at Liberty Plaza, emceeing the No Kings protests and marches, all those things. And so no, I really love that you kind of broke that down. But
it's I'm gonna push you more because I think what you're saying is Georgia's an outlier when it comes to the amount of black lobbyists, and I would agree with you. I'll take a step back into my profession, being a lawyer. So there are 1.3 million lawyers out there. That doesn't mean that they practice or anything else. They are just barred attorneys. Only 65,000 of them are black.
Wow.
1.3 million, 65,000.
Right.
So when you look at problems in the criminal justice system, we don't have enough black public defenders or even black prosecutors. We don't have enough black judges. When it comes to our health system, we don't have enough black people who are vying or fighting for our rights in healthcare. So putting it more in perspective, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, where our future Atlanta Falcons Super Bowl winners play, that holds 72,000 seats.
Yeah.
Meaning you can put every black lawyer in the nation in that one stadium and have
and
plenty
have
of
like
room
left
over.
Yeah.
Right? That's a
Wow.
problem.
That is.
Like, that is a problem compared to 1.3 million where you need multiple stadiums
Right.
to actually get that done. Like, just putting that in perspective. When it comes to lobbyists, there's about 2,900 registered lobbyists in the state of Georgia. 2,900. Like, I don't know how many black lobbyists do you think there are?
I think I'm gonna say like maybe like 40 or 50.
I was gonna say 60.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say 60 because I can
Be
only
generous?
name 30.
I can only name 32,
Right.
but I was being generous.
Yeah,
to
that's
give
what
it
I'm
the 40,
saying.
50.
I'm guessing there's another 30 Negroes
Yes.
that do what we do, but we just don't
Right,
see
we
them.
don't know. We don't
I
see
hope
them.
there are.
Me too.
I hope there are.
I'm
So
pretty-
yeah.
absolutely.
So again, that $34 billion budget, there are over 2,900 people who are special interests who are fighting on behalf of their clients and their own well-being to get money out of that budget. But you only have 30 black lobbyists there. 2,900, 30 black ones. So again, when it comes to the attacks on women, especially black women, the attacks on voting in our communities, the lack of funding that goes for education is because we don't have enough people down at the Capitol fighting for us. If we had more black lobbyists, we have a better black future for our communities.
I'm really glad you said that, and that's really it. I think we're in a space where I know it's redundant, but representation does matter, and being in these spaces, no matter what space it is, whether it's in the policy space, whether it's within any industry, healthcare space, legal space, whatever your industry is, you showing up says a lot and means a lot, and you never know who that's going to encourage or impact. And so I always say, don't overthink it. Just do it. And you waking up every day is like, outside of just being a blessing.
It's
right?
a blessing. Yeah, I was about to say it's a blessing.
It's a blessing.
Yes.
But it's also a privilege to be in these spaces and to show up and to do the thing. Do not be afraid to either make that content. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to even advocate for yourself within your industry, within your spaces, whether it's policy related or not. And so I just always encourage that. And I'm really glad that you said that, because we need to be in these spaces. We need to be in the spaces where a lot of times it doesn't look like us. So I would just say, as we're wrapping up, this has been a great conversation.
Oh man, it's been around like that?
I
No,
know.
come on.
You gotta
now.
come
Oh,
back.
man.
You gotta do
yeah.
a part 2.
Oh, let's do it.
You gotta do a part 2.
I love that.
Yeah,
Yes.
you gotta do a part 2 for season 2. But as we're wrapping up, I want you to just I always ask my guests to do a call to action or just something to lead the listeners. And I'll ask you just to encourage listeners, or how would you encourage the listeners to engage, whether locally, on the state side or federal side, but I would just say from your perspective locally, how do you engage your listeners to be engaged locally?
Locally, that does mean something. So this is what I tell people. You woke up this morning and you thought to yourself, something could be better. Something's wrong right now. And either you, your community, your family, you could do better. Whatever that one or two thing is, you can go ahead and you can work with other people to solve that. So I always tell people, do not fight alone. I have a policy, a NPPA, never practice policy alone. So there are organizations out there like the ACLU of Georgia that can help you do that type of work. So you don't have to start at level 1. You can already be around other people who can focus and make sure that you can accomplish the goal that you want to accomplish. Because literally, God put you on this earth for a reason that only you can do. So, but that doesn't mean you have to do it alone. So I would say make that call to action. Whatever you're thinking about, take that step to get there and find the other groups and the other people that can help you accomplish that goal. And I'm happy to help.
Oh, I love that.
I love you, girl. Come on, man. We made this thing happen. That's what I'm talking about, man. Yeah, make that thing pow. Yeah, we made this thing happen, man.
No, I'm really glad that you said all the things that you've said today. It has been such. I've learned so much, but just the numbers. I'm not a math person, but
I'm not even. I'm a lawyer. So yeah.
And a local black man.
And a local black man.
But I've learned so much today. I'm pretty sure my listeners have learned a lot today, and you are just again such a blessing to be in this space, to have your knowledge and your wisdom, your discernment, and also your mentorship and discipleship for black men, for young black men in this space, or even outside of the space that wants to get involved. And so I'm super thankful that you came on, lended me and our listeners your knowledge and wisdom, and you got to come back.
Oh man, thank you for the invite.
No,
I mean,
yes.
I've wanted to be on your podcast for quite some time, so it's an honor and it's a pleasure. It's a privilege to be here. So thank you so much, man.
Absolutely. Well, y'all, this has been such an amazing conversation. I hope you learned as much as I learned today. But yes, please like, follow, subscribe, engage. If you have any questions, comment below. We want to hear from you. And if you want to get connected to Chris, I will definitely insert his handles so you're able to connect and engage with him and see his content and the work that he does in the community. Thank you so much. Again, I love you. Talk to you soon. Bye.